Hello, 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 and welcome to the Heart, Mind, and Voice Show. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
So happy to be back. Hello, HMB fam. We are so happy to be back. We had a little time off on last week to enjoy our Labor Day weekend, and I'm sure everybody had a wonderful time. How about you, ladies? Did y'all?
Yes.
Y'all sound like yes, yes, yes. Before we get started, I just want to go ahead and you know who I am, Coach Shalonda. We have your girl, Miss Serious K,
Hello.
and your girl, Miss Queen A.
Hi.
And we want our HMB fam to know that guess what? There was a special, special shout out to one of our very special co-hosts. And you can guess who? Miss Queen A. It was her birthday on yesterday. And
Yes.
to tell us, well, girl, how did you show out yesterday?
Do y'all want to sing happy birthday to me first?
Happy
Oh gosh, do
birthday,
you hear his voice?
happy birthday to you.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Because you know I will get down with it. You did something
It
fun
was
and
good. I had plans. I didn't really plan a lot this weekend. I had plans for next weekend, but I did go out yesterday, and I wanted a big steak dinner, so I went out and I had a nice steak dinner and a few drinks. So I really enjoyed. But by 11 o'clock, I was knocked out.
that's how we do it.
Yeah.
So, but
That's my
next
kind of birthday.
Yeah, right. But next week I have something planned. So I'll be, celebrating all month long basically.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's
We're so
good.
glad that you had a nice time on yesterday and that the fun is just now getting started because you're going to show out even more so next
Oh
weekend.
yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
us tuned in and be a good girl, okay?
Listen,
Everything I taught you.
listen. Sometimes you gotta wow out. You can't always be good.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. That's true. Well, we're so excited to be on. And hello, HMB fam. We're so excited to be back and discuss some great topics with you all tonight. We just want to pay homage to or commemorate the Memorial 9/11. That was definitely a day that the world, not just the nation, but the world will never ever forget. 9/11. So many lives
Yes.
were lost from just so many families, and so we just want to take a second to just commemorate, and our prayers and heart continue to go out to those families that lost so many loved ones.
Yes.
And speaking of,
Yes.
loss, we want to continue to acknowledge the family of the actor Michael K. Williams. He died over, this past week. And so we just want to send our prayers and thoughts out to the family. Our prayers are with you. We understand that it's so much that is going on. I don't know which is worse, 2020 or 2021. It seemed like they're both just the years have been just so tough for so many families, but and
Yes.
just so many different ways. It's not just
Yeah.
COVID that is, taking the families out, but there's been so many talks, true
Mhm.
talk around drugs. And so that's definitely something that we definitely want to share as a family and have deep, deep discussions about as far as, so many people are dealing with that. And, many are speculating that that was his cause of death and they're not sure yet. They're doing an autopsy on it. But our hearts just go out to the families no matter how, we lose them. What matters is that they were our family and gone too soon and and then to just have that to follow is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a good thing.
And
So
Coach Shalonda, really quick. So I noticed too, we talked about this on one of our other shows, that the numbers increasing in terms of substance abuse. Like
yeah,
since the pandemic, the numbers have
Hmm.
increased tremendously. I'm sure with that increasing, a lot of therapy, psychologists and therapists that also have been increasing. But more and more people is really turning into substance abuse to cope with certain things.
yeah,
So it is kind of sad, and that's actually could have been a cause of my mom's death.
mhm,
So that is something that's very dear to my heart in terms of saving those. I don't want to say saving per se, but kind of looking more into those who suffer from, substance abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been hearing a lot of discussions on that. And I guess, when it hit home, you don't really give it a lot of thought. You know that it exists, but you just
Yes.
don't realize how, prevalent it is, just how just, hey, it is present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going on. And then I'm hearing that they're mixing it, or the suppliers are mixing it with something else, some other drug that is not good. So I'm hearing a lot of, seeing a lot,
Yeah.
hearing a lot of, bad information about, the abuse. And the thing is, you we talked about it, I believe, before, about how COVID is just running so rampant, especially with these new variants that are coming out, that are
Right.
from Delta
Yeah.
to Law and everybody else that's coming out. We don't even know numbers and letters. It's the Mu variant, the
Mm-hmm.
one whatever variant. But all these variants are coming out, and we have heard from studies that it is affecting the mental health of people. And
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
people have had issues, been dealing with issues for years and years, and sometimes it takes like a stressor. It takes a particular stressor to bring forth, whatever it is that struggle,
Mhm.
is in that person's life,
Mhm.
and to bring it forth. And then, of course, they're trying to find something to soothe that pain. So wherever they can go to soothe that pain, be it alcohol or sex. People
Yeah.
use, sex, or something, else that's not good. They would do that. And I'm thinking that
Yeah.
we need even more counselors on board. We need even more coaches on board. And did
Yes.
y'all see the video with the nurse breaking down, saying how tired she was of being a nurse because of all the patients that are coming in?
No,
Mm.
I didn't see
And a
that.
TikTok video, and
Wow.
she was crying. She said she just wanted to give up. She wanted to quit.
Mm.
So
And
yeah,
and that says a lot, right? Because it's not only
Yeah.
those who are actually suffering from the substance abuse, but it's those who have to deal with it and have to
yeah,
see it. That's
Yeah.
also taxing, because that person become a part of that, the other person that is suffering from the substance abuse. So it is a
yeah,
Yeah.
lot to take in and consider, and is emotionally taxing. Um,
yes,
so I definitely understand, being a child of two parents that suffered from substance abuse. I understand how taxing it is. And
Yeah.
it's something that you have to get, seek therapy on, because you got to know how to cope with it and deal
Yeah.
with it. Um,
hmm,
and and it is easy when you don't have a way, like an outlet of a way of kind of getting out. It is, I don't want to say it's easy, but you tend to kind of turn and look to something that's going to soothe the pain, so you don't got
yeah,
to deal with
Mm-hmm.
it. So
Yeah.
people start maybe drinking or smoking or doing drugs or sex or
Mm-hmm.
whatever addiction. It could be gambling or whatever, looking
yeah,
for a outlet, as a way out of cope. It's a coping mechanism.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what needs to be talked about more, is what you said about teaching or talking, having communication around different coping mechanisms in
Mm-hmm.
Right.
this day and time. And I know I listen to Yana. She have a teaching every single Saturday. Now she's back on. It's like her season is back. She's on
Mm-hmm.
vacation, but she talks about things like that, and she don't necessarily just target that per se, like just that, but she talks about different coping mechanisms you can use. She just go, it's like a full body,
Mm-hmm.
mind, body, and soul spa or recovery that she teaches
Yes,
like
yes.
Mm-hmm.
every Saturday. And I make sure I tune
Mm-hmm.
in, because she just start from A to all the way to Z. And so it needs
Yeah.
to be more, not just, she can't do it, she can't speak to everybody. She can
Mhm.
if everybody would tune in, but
Yeah.
but there are certain people for, certain
Yeah.
individuals. Like I know people that don't like her delivery, and it's nothing wrong with her, nothing at all.
Yeah.
She's very firm, very direct, and get to the point, and
Yeah.
don't pacify feelings. And so those that do need to be more pacified, or spoken
Yeah.
to softly, there's other people that should get on board
Right.
and just
Yeah.
be strategic in how they provide the mechanism. Serious K, did you want to say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for the caregivers, there are, you know, therapists out there that do help the caregivers, because those are the people that are overlooked oftentimes,
Yes.
because they have the burden of trying to take care of these people and at the same time trying to take care of themselves.
Oh
And
yeah.
most of the time they are their loved ones. And, they have what you call caregivers remorse. And then they start feeling guilty because, okay, like now I'm sick. Now I need help, but I can't go get the help because I need to be here for this person. And if I'm not here for them, then, who would they have? So they have that caregivers remorse. And there are a lot of therapists now that are helping those nurses and stuff. And especially because of COVID. So they're reaching out to those nurses and other caregivers to say, hey, you need help too. You need a break too. So
Yeah.
we're willing to give you the care that you need.
Right.
So that's a great thing. Like Queen A said, there are more therapists needed, and there are new areas that therapy is needed in. And I'm glad that we are noticing that and reaching out and helping these people so we can have less people, turning to drugs and
Yeah.
finding other ways to cope.
You know what's sad though is that how do you reach out to those? I don't know how we. It's so funny how like we have certain topics, but yet we get directed
I
into
know.
Yeah.
but it's just how do you reach those, like in other words, so those who have substance abuse, oftentimes they may not reach out to a therapist or someone for help until like they hit rock bottom, or
Yeah.
oftentimes when it's kind of too late. So when it even get to the level of I can share this. I remember when it was years ago. I think I was in my late 20s, and I remember when I was going through some things and dealing with some things, and um, I had started drinking more. And I didn't realize that, you start drinking, you don't realize how it turned into something more. So,
Mhm.
I would just come home and I'll have it just start off with wine. Then it got to like heavy liquor, then it was beer. And I would get home from work and I'll say, let me just have a drink to kind of unwind. And then I'll say, okay, let me have a drink so I can go to sleep. Then it was like, okay, let me have a drink so I can have a good time. Let me have a drink so I can, enjoy sex better. So it was
Mhm.
getting to the time where everything was becoming an excuse to drink. And I didn't even think that it was an issue. So sometimes, how you can start, you may not realize that it's an issue. And
Mhm.
so for me, I didn't recognize it until actually it was one day I had a friend. He was, he's now a friend, but at the time he was, a spiritual mentor. And he
Mhm.
didn't know what I was going through. And he started to read something on substance abuse. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is he saying this? So I
Yes.
was like, but it hit home for me because I didn't recognize that it was becoming an issue. So it hit home for me that he was saying this and he was reading something on the effects of alcohol and generational things, how it come from generational,
Yeah.
um, so I remember going to church. I started going to church, and I remember the bishop had called. He looked at me and he said, "Don't follow in the footsteps of your parents." And I'm like, "What?" And then he
Mhm.
said, "What?" He said he didn't actually say substance abuse, but he said what can turn into something simple as partying can become something that's detrimental to your health as well as your future. And I knew right then and there that he was speaking about what I was dealing with in drinking. And I remember going to the doctor. Now, he wasn't a therapist, but he was my regular primary doctor. And I remember
Right.
telling him, like, "Hey, is it an issue?" Like I said, I was suffering from certain things, and I was finding ways to cope with it. And I said, "Is this normal to not be aroused?" I think it was something sexual. It was always something sexual, right? But I think it was something that I think I wasn't getting aroused by something, whatever. And I was telling
Mhm.
him, and I said I was looking to drink as a way of kind of getting
Mhm.
aroused or dealing with
Yeah.
it. So I was telling
Mhm.
him some other things, and he was like, he was African, so he was like, "Ma'am, that's not good." He was like, "No, that's not normal." And then
Mhm.
that's when I started recognizing what I was doing was not normal, like drinking and
Yeah.
like having a drink. And I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with having wine here and there?" And he asked me the question, "Well, how often you having wine?" I'm like, "Oh, every day." And it's not bad. You have it, small substances. They actually say it's good for your heart and your health, right? But
Right.
when you do it
Right.
excessively, where you start looking for something more to drink just to get that extra high, then
Yeah.
that's when it becomes an issue. But I didn't recognize that
Mhm.
it was an issue until it was brought to my attention.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's the answer to a lot of individuals that are struggling with some type of addiction. It's not
mhm,
until they become aware. You
yes.
can't, you go to the anonymous, to Drug Anonymous or whatever anonymous. That's the first thing they expect you to do is admit that you are this or admit that
Mhm.
you are that. You
Mhm.
have to become aware that this is truly my struggle, before you can, get healed or begin that path of healing. So
Mhm.
that's good. I'm sure all of us have a story. We may not was addicted to alcohol or this or that, but definitely, something. I was just was that not too long ago. I was just teasing. I think it was Serious K. Y'all know Serious K is becoming a therapist, and she was telling me one of my addictions. It's not bad, y'all. I mean, it is. I mean, anyways,
Yeah, it is. It is.
it's not bad, but okay, I have issues with my ears, and so I like
It's
to take a hairpin and dig
yeah.
and dig and dig and dig in my ear. See, I know that's right, Nikki. I know that's right. See, I like
It's a form of OCD. So
You said yes.
yeah, it's a little bit obsessive.
and so I keep confessing, and I know I'm aware of it. I know one day I'm gonna be healed. I mean, y'all
Mhm.
laughing and may think it's a joke, but it's really not good in the latter. It's not
Mhm.
good for Nikki. It's not good for us to
Mhm.
be digging. But I keep saying that. Queen A, you mentioned earlier of how it's a feel good, or it's just some it touches in certain areas. It's just something
Yes.
in
Uh-huh.
certain
Yeah.
areas in your body, yes. But anyway, it's not good. So I don't encourage anyone to take hairpins to get aroused in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's very bad for you. But
So
I say that. Go ahead, Queen A.
so that's what I was saying. Like you probably wasn't even aware of it until Kim brought it to your attention.
Right?
So
True.
that's what I'm saying. A lot of people who need some type of support or help, they don't even recognize it yet. Like
Mhm.
how do you make them aware of it? Like there's so many therapists that's out there that can really help, but it's like how do you make it aware that they need the help?
That's
Sometimes they may not even recognize it at all.
Yeah.
yeah.
So how do you even make it aware to them?
Yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah.
woo, I don't know how we kind of swerved
Yeah,
over.
some people don't even know. We just think things are just common. It's just a
Yeah,
common thing.
right,
But if
right.
Yeah,
it's something that you're obsessing over and you're doing like over and over and over again, and especially if it's interrupting your normal way of
yeah,
life, then there's a problem.
yeah.
Right. Mhm.
You need to
Yeah.
look deeper. See, I don't
Yeah.
understand how the hairpin, but okay. But anyway, interrupting my. But okay.
Because you can't sit on the show and go, that's interrupting.
She got her eyes closed. She like,
You can't do
It's not good, but that hairpin is not right. That's all I can say. It's
You can
something.
talk about Kim diagnosed me Tuesday. Did I? Like, did I?
She already went to practice, y'all. Queen A, she gonna be calling you now. Let me see something.
I know, right? Look, I look.
That's
Hey, I don't
funny.
mind at all.
Well, so speaking of that, let's move on, y'all. We definitely wanted to get off into some of our topics tonight. We're going to speak a little bit on the stupid, dumb, small-minded comments that 50 Cent, and 50 Cent made some comments that were, kind of like not, or they were inappropriate for the time. They were just not, it just shouldn't have been said. And so they could have been considered inconsiderate, for he was promoting his show in the midst of, you know, um, paying homage to Michael K. Williams. And
Yeah.
as always, I don't know, to me, when I look at 50 Cent, I always just see someone that, has no coup, has no type of character at all. And yes, he's rich or whatever, his talent has got him there, but he can, yeah, things will happen along the way. No one is exempt, rich, poor, whatever. No one is exempt. So you should always, because you never know. I was hearing on a news report, or it was on one of the talk stations, was talking about Wendy Williams and how Wendy Williams has built an empire off of gossiping and downing people. And then years later, look at all the things. She's still rich, but look at all the things that, that she's going through. And it's like, if you can go back, if anybody's seen her documentary and they saw the pain that she was experiencing, all of the confessions And how you can, if you can read people, you can literally see that she was sorrowful, but this is what she has built. And so this has made her rich and this is her income. It's like, what do I do?
Mhm.
How do I change? And how will people look at me?
Right.
Will I be looked at differently? But so you just have to be careful because life, it revolves, it evolves, whether you want to or not, it is going to go around and it is going to pick you back up. And it may not be the same way. And most of the time it's not the same way when it comes back around in your court. So what do y'all have to say about 50 Cent? Serious K.
Well, okay. So this show is one of my husband's favorite shows, and I watch it with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using Michael's death to promote his show.
Promoted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because on the show, uh, the guy that plays him as a teenager, of course, his mom teaches him how to sell drugs and all this kind of stuff, but he want to go on about his own way and do his own thing. So he called himself, he got some drugs from somebody, but it was laced with something else. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but he thought it was just going to be so good and they were just going to be running the block, right?
Yep.
So they handed it out to some drug addicts for free, just, for the test it. And a lot of these people died. Like as soon as they hit the pipe, they died.
Yeah.
So he put that in his comment. I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but it was like, okay, Michael K. Williams is just like because the drugs had like a little blue top on it, just like the blue tube or whatever it was called that he was sitting on the show. He was like, yeah, so watch my show, Raising Canaan Power Play book. You don't do that. I'm
Mm-mm.
like, that was just
Not the time.
yeah, it was very insensitive, yeah, and it wasn't the time to do that.
Yeah.
Um, he has a big platform, and you would think, and especially with the kind of show that he has, you would think he would go back and say, hey,
Yeah.
uh, this is not good. Drugs are not good. I mean, I know it's on my show, but it's not good for you. And,
Mhm.
and speak to the family, sorry for your loss and all this kind of stuff. But other than that, he made a joke about it and tried to promote his show.
Mhm.
It was very distasteful. I
Yeah.
thought it was.
Yeah.
Very. Queen A, what are your thoughts?
So I saw the show Raising Canaan, and it was very, it was crazy because as Serious K said, they did have it where they were selling drugs and they mixed it with something and instantly they were dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to that point, so the comment that he made, he said, "Damn, if you didn't see Raising Canaan," he said, "check it out. That fentanyl is no joke, killing the clientele."
Fentanyl. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
fentanyl,
Yeah.
Sarah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Fentanyl is no joke, killing the clientele with Michael K. Williams. So he did put that in his Instagram as a way of promoting, because that's how, so apparently we don't know the real facts yet, but they found paraphernalia in Michael Williams, apartment in Brooklyn. So he was basically saying, this is what his show was about and this is how he died. And then he
Yeah.
also went into a little bit about how he had some type of relationship he had. I don't think they had like the greatest relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
he was really trying to promote his show and using this to his advantage.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's sad, but listen, everybody have a way of promoting, right? And
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's like they use every little bit of inch they can to promote, what's going to make them money.
Yeah.
And basically, I think I can't remember the exact quote that he said, or statement that 50 Cent said, but he did say the type of person he is. He said, he's not about fake love, and he made it
Mhm.
known we didn't have that real love or a certain type of friendship, and I'm not about being fake. So,
Yeah.
he was very real with how he felt about him. And he's like, I'm not going to fake it. But people were coming saying, in Instagram or whatever, saying, questions. I mean, saying things like, he's not, that's no wonder why he got shot 9 times. No wonder why, this, or he's not a real human being. So people were just throwing out comments and remarks because they felt like that was wrong for him to say that instead of offering his condolences. But
Yeah.
to that
Mhm.
point, he should have set aside whatever feelings that he had concerning Michael Williams or whatever. But he used basically what happened. It was like the opportunity time to use
Yeah.
what happened to him to definitely promote his show because that's what his show is all about. So
Yeah.
And you can go to the Bible, you can go to the great Confucius, Albert Einstein. Who's the other great communicator. I can't think of his name, but just plenty of wisdom. The not the guru, but the one that is Hindu. I can't think of his name, but
The
when
one that
they
did
have
the agreements, the four agreements that wrote that
yeah,
book.
well, I'm trying to think
The
the ones that
Buddha?
have the ones that have the great quotes in life.
Oh,
Like
Buddha,
if you
Buddha, like
Buddha.
Yeah. hmm
The great quotes in life is like the Bible say, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world, lose his soul? Confucius say,
hmm
it's what if you can have everything, and what does it profit a man to have everything, but yet still be a fool?
yes,
Like they
Yeah.
don't
yes,
say exactly what
hmm
the Bible say, but they use it in layman terms because that's the only way
Yeah.
he can understand it. Nowhere near, spirituality. But in just layman terms, it's like you have all of this money, and this goes out for a whole lot of people, just wealthy. You have all this money, and yet you have not evolved in your mind. In your mind, because if you had just an inch of character, just an inch, the old people call it cool, but if you just had an inch of
Yeah.
character, you would not have said that. You would not have taken advantage, of a sacred moment for family and friends that have lost a loved one to
yes,
use it for your evil gain. As Nikki said, it's the love of money that has become evil for him. Yes, and I really hate to see his demise. I really do, because it's like how you present yourself in the world, how you represent. That's exactly how you're gonna go out.
But there is something he's lost.
Extremely.
There is something that he's hiding behind, or something that he's missing in life. There's something going on with him,
Very unhappy.
and because he's a bully, so there's something happened to him, something going on with him, and he needs some help. He needs some
Right.
work through some issues. He has some
Yeah.
issues.
I would hope that someone that's connected with him would see our video and our YouTube, and it would somehow get back to him, and he would see the comments that we are saying, because I would love for someone of that mind to come and try to talk to someone that's filled with wisdom. It's like there is no conversation until you calm it down and listen. There's a difference between coming to someone angry and trying to make your state, or trying to get on social media and do something like, please. So we see that all the time. Of course, it'll die out like all things do. It dies out over a period of time. People get over it or whatever. But when you just he consistently tear down people and say
hmm
mean, cruel
hmm
things.
mhm.
And doesn't he have two children, two sons?
Yeah, I
He has
believe he was
a
too.
representation of it all. Speaking of
Yeah.
sons, let's get off of that. And let's move on to Kirk Franklin's son. Now, we talked about Kirk Franklin's son. Was that a couple of months ago when
Yes.
Kirk Franklin has some beef going on,
hmm
this big disagreement. Now the son is back.
Get at
Disagreeing
his
with his
mother, right?
mother. It's like, uh-oh.
Yes.
You tried to make your dad look bad, but instead it's come back to hunt you and bite you in the butt. So I think this, if I know the story right, his mom was trying to intervene and take him to the hospital to kind of get some help and see what was going on, or to do something. But he said his mom assaulted him or abused him.
Yeah.
Oh, this young man, it's like he, just knowing, understanding people mental stability, it's clear there's something wrong. It's
Yeah.
clear, no matter how we try to fix it up or phrase it, it is something wrong with his mental state. And I
Yes.
100% agree with the mom trying to go get some help, be it if she felt like he was sick or
Yeah.
mentally sick. He needed to go before some professionals and get diagnosed. Well,
Yes.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Something was wrong.
Yes.
Something is wrong
Yeah.
with this young man. It really, really is. Something's wrong with this young man. What are your thoughts on this, Queen A? What do you think about him?
Well,
He,
see, they're gonna think again with the whole, mental people needing mental support. So he went on live stream because his mom said he wanted to take him to the hospital. So he went on live stream in live streams. He went on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Look, he went on Instagram Live and he was talking about how he's trying to protect himself by going live because his mother is trying to harm him by taking him to the hospital. So he's saying he's going to his grandmother's house because his family is trying to harm him. But in other words, they recognize he needs some type of help. And she said all he's looking for is attention. He's seeking attention. So obviously this boy, man, whatever, he needs some type of adult child. He needs some type of support and definitely mental support and medicine. And and it's interesting because again, that goes to say how sometimes you don't even recognize that you need help, especially those who are mentally challenged in some way or suffer some type of mental instability. Again, they may not even recognize. These topics, Lord, is hitting me every way. But I'm telling you, like, it's some, I'm dealing with some things and, in my family again. But, I just thought about again, I thought of my mom and what she faced. And I remember when she needed the support and she just refused to take her medicine. And I remember going through her things after she passed away. I'm going through her things and I see a whole bunch of medicine that she had gotten for months and for years, and she just kept them all. And it was something for her, to support her mentally. And she wasn't taking it. She felt like it was doing damage to her, or she didn't need to take it, or she didn't have an issue that bad where she needed to take it. So so this is basically what it was. Like, he don't recognize or don't want to accept the fact that he has issues and he needs some type of support and help. And he probably don't want to go into medicine. So
yeah, Nikki X, is he in his 30s? Yeah, I think he's like 33 or
33. Something. Yep, he's 33.
Yeah.
Sirius K, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, he definitely, I think he should take the help that they're trying to give him, but he's in denial. I heard him talking about how, he had all these gifts that he had to give to the world, and he wasn't, he didn't need there was nothing wrong with him, and they was gonna have to take him down in a straitjacket. He talked about having a gun in his hand and a Bible in the other hand, and he's like, I woke up this morning, I was feeling good. I had my gun, and then he talked about then I had the Bible over here, and I was reading the Bible, and they messing with me, and blah blah this, blah blah that. And I think, that, like his mom said, he wants attention, but at the same time, he does have mental health problems. And I don't know how they're going to get him to go. I'm just praying that it doesn't end up bad for him to where the police gets called out, not by his family, because I don't believe they'll call the police on him, or they would have done it a long time ago. But he may end up in a situation with someone else where they may not know that he has mental issues, and they may call the police and he end up on the other side of this. When he should just go ahead and take the help, because he's not only a danger to himself, he's a danger to other people. So I don't know how they're going to get this boy into therapy, because first of all, he has to give them permission. He has to say, okay, yeah, I want to go, until or unless he tries to harm himself.
Right.
So, I mean, his dad, he told us, he warned us about this. The mom told us, and he keep doing these videos, but he's not helping himself. He's more harming himself. And I hope that his mother is keeping these videos somewhere. So when it's time for him to, when he decides to get the help, or when he does get hurt or try to hurt himself, that they have these, a log of this stuff that's going on.
Yeah. I know in the state of Louisiana, I don't know about Texas. Lord, I don't even want to know about Texas, but we'll talk about them in just a second. But I know in the state of Louisiana, he hadn't been diagnosed yet, but if you've been diagnosed and you have an outbreak, you have an episode, they can call the cops, and the cops they can inform the cops that they're mentally challenged, and blah, 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 and the cops can escort them to the institution. But like you said, Sirius K, he hadn't been diagnosed yet, so I don't know what are the is he even here? I don't know what are the laws. I don't know what are the laws here if they have not been diagnosed, but something's going on up there. But you can't say medically, yes, I know for sure, but I think from the signs and the symptoms, it may be a little different. You can't force him because he's not diagnosed that. So you can't force them to go, to a hospital or something like that. Yeah. So, and I just hate to see the ending if they don't get some type of, they may just have to be methodical about it, or strategic
Right.
about it, about it, getting him to that hospital. I don't know how, because he's an adult. He's not a kid where you can pick him up when they go to sleep.
Yeah.
Well,
Take
you
him.
know what? It was a few stories. I don't, I gotta be careful how I tell a story.
Yeah,
I don't want to tell a person, personal business, but I know two people. I know sometimes where the state can pick it up, but that's
yeah,
typically when it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Um, but especially parents, they should recognize when it's time to, like, because as parents, we want to support our children, but when it gets to the point where it becomes detrimental to society or to the, to yourself, like, as
yeah,
a parent, that's when you got to do something different. So
yeah,
Mhm.
I knew someone where his son had he was mentally challenged, and allowed him to stay in the home. Grown, he was in his 30s, same thing. Allowed him to stay in the home, and it got to the point where he was doing things, that was kind of insane. They kept having to help him and so forth, but they allowed him to stay there. And what eventually happened was he burned down the home while they were sleeping.
oh,
Wow.
So thank God that they were able to get out.
oh,
But another incident is where someone allowed her son to stay, and he ended up killing her husband. So, so it's important to recognize how severe it is,
yeah,
because, as time increases and they hadn't gotten any help yet, it can become very detrimental, and put, you put yourself in harm's way. You can put them in danger as well, because they need some type of mental support. So it's important to find ways to get that support, to and get the help that you need. To, first of all, they shouldn't be in your home if they becoming that severe. They
yeah,
really shouldn't be in your home. But again, as parents, you love them. You don't want to see, the state take them over, the streets take them over. But it's important to recognize it and really get the help before it becomes an endangerment to, yourself or your child. So,
Yeah.
The thing is, I think that should be discussed as well about this particular situation, because they're not the only family. And then I'm sure you never know who would see this video, but it's like, what do you do in a situation like that? What do you do? It's good that we're sharing examples, Queenie. Like you said, I don't want to share anybody's business, but this is what happened here. And that's the same way for me, becoming aware of how Louisiana, the state of Louisiana worked, because it was someone that I knew that, where their, loved one had a mental challenge, and how they had to handle it whenever those
right,
episodes were riding. And the one thing we have to understand is that when they do go off into that other state, of being, that there's an imbalance there, and they
yeah,
can potentially, or possibly, not potentially, but possibly hurt you,
yeah,
because there's no balance. There's no, okay, I can't do that. It's all like survival. It's all like,
right,
no, you're trying to come at me, or you're trying to do this to me. It's all defense mechanism. And
right,
so they
yeah,
can definitely do something harmful to themselves, as well as to you. So,
Mhm.
uh, the thing would be, what can you do in that situation? And like I say, you definitely would have to be methodical about it. You definitely would
right,
have to have a conversation with, a professional about how do you handle a situation. Because I believe my loved one is bipolar or schizo or whatever, and suffer with anxiety. How do I handle it, and having a conversation with them to see if they
Mhm.
can, get some help. So that's something I would say, that's the first place I would run to a professional, and trying to seek how to get help, how to get this
right.
one to acknowledge that there's an issue there.
You
And
know,
get
I
some
Yeah.
help.
wonder. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Are they putting stuff in food? Because it's becoming
Mhm.
more prevalent now with mental illness
Yeah.
and bipolarism and everything. I'm
Yes.
like, what the hell are they putting in the food? Because I don't
Mhm.
get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely the
Mhm.
chemicals in the food.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's just
Yeah.
one. Yeah, besides
Mhm.
all of the, the societal
Yeah.
norms that become an abnorm now,
Mhm.
it's definitely that.
You know,
Yes.
I
And
I,
yeah,
I
that's
would
another
say,
issue. Hmm.
it's and see, this is why I was talking to someone the other day about studying your your history, right? Your
Uh-huh.
ancestry, your genealogy, because you want to know what's in your family tree so you can avoid it, right? Because
Yes.
say for instance, um certain things were in my family tree, and it's like, because I was aware of it, taking precaution, taking, doing
Yes.
certain things differently
Being
where I
mindful.
don't go in that same route. Especially, so say for instance, if it's, mental health, illness or whatever, like doing things to deal with your mind. You got to really fight for your focus or fight for your mind. So, you got to really do things where, you feel yourself off balance a lot. Learn to put yourself in balance, because
Yeah.
if you leave it be, you let it go, what end up happening is that it begins to take over you. So if you come aware of it in some aspect, you got to find a way to really fight for your mind.
Yeah.
Um, and I can say this, so I can tell a lot of stories behind this, but it's very important to do things to get, and that's why again, health is important. Making sure you're in good health, making sure you're doing things to really, get your mind, just get your mind right, get your health in order. A lot of things that I believe. I'm not a psychologist. It's just my beliefs, but I believe that oftentimes it is generational, but also I believe that it comes from not dealing with some things in your life, holding on to emotional baggage, holding on to unforgiveness, and all that begin to creep up, and it creates some type of
Yeah.
dis-ease. That's what this is. The diseases are is
Yeah.
something that's dis-eased in your life. So,
Yeah.
and just fighting
Absolutely.
for it.
You hit the nail on the head when you said generational
Yeah.
trauma from
Yeah.
childhood.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
definitely true. Definitely true. So speaking of trauma, y'all, let's get on this topic about the state of the big old Texas. Speaking of trauma, because we have Governor Trauma here. Oh God, what's his name? But
Crazy. The name is
yeah,
crazy.
wheelchair Abbott, I tell you the truth. Oh my God. This Texas abortion law where they are giving women in particular that have been raped, but of course women that wants an abortion, but women that have been raped, 6 weeks. You go over that 6 weeks. And when do wait, I had kind of like my pregnancy was off because I couldn't even have any. And then when I found out I was 4 months pregnant. But when, like on just an average or a normal, when does a woman know when she's with child? Enlighten me, Serious K. When someone
Well, both my times I knew because I was sick.
you know right away.
I knew because felt like I was throwing up my guts. So
Oh, so you're like,
I'm like, okay,
okay.
I'm sick. I'm pregnant.
So was that was what, like a couple of weeks? You were in a couple, what,
It
4?
was maybe I think both times I was like maybe 8 weeks. Well, one time the first was 12 weeks, and then with my daughter, I think it was like 8 weeks. You
Okay.
know,
So 2
yeah.
months and then 3. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I
And I
know
think it's 6 weeks. I think
statistically
it's
would be like an average, but I'm like, so when do you really know as a woman? Because
Yeah.
when did you
I
know,
think it's
Queen?
typically 6 weeks. Like
Yeah.
that's when
You
you
don't
start.
see your cycle.
Yeah, I say within
Okay.
4 to 6 weeks, you start noticing symptoms. You start noticing, okay, your cycle is late. You start maybe getting nauseous. I know for me, it was around 6, 7 weeks. I was getting very nauseous.
Hmm.
I was like, something is not right. My body wasn't feeling right, and I'm like, okay, that's when I knew, like, possibly I could be pregnant. So,
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy because I did have those symptoms early. But when a doctor keeps telling you, oh, you can't have children, you will have to go through, all of the different tests and everything to get you, to conceive. Um, I
oh, Donald,
remember,
our co-host Donald is here. Hi, Donald. He said when you start acting strange,
Oh God.
you know what?
oh, Donald, I tell you the truth. But I remember I was sick every day, just like serious case. I was throwing my guts up. And I thought I was poisoned by the Waffle House. I was like, everybody say don't eat at that nasty place. And just throwing up all over. So I was like, okay. I just thought I was poisoned. I really did. And of course, that was not the case. But I often wonder, oh my God. So of course, like like Serious K Queen, they say you kind of know between 4 to 6 weeks. But isn't that tricky how they say you have up to 6 weeks and you don't even know until then?
But you know what? You have seen on TV, right?
Yeah.
Those shows where the women did not know at all that she was carrying and did not have any symptoms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I believe
Mhm.
that every woman's body is different. So you can probably carry and may not even know it. So
Yeah.
you know what? I
Yeah.
don't know. That's kind of weird. Like you probably know, but just kind of like
In
try in
denial.
denial about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Wow, Serious K,
But
what are your thoughts on the great state of Texas?
well, he Well, and then did he say something about, doesn't the law include something about at the first sound of heartbeat, you can't have an abortion? Like
Something.
once you hear the
Mhm.
first sound of heartbeat of the heartbeat. And then the fool said, yeah, I call him a fool.
Will
Then the fool
Will
said,
you're
so they said, well, what about rapists? What about if a woman's been raped and she feel like, okay, I don't want to have this child? He said, well, we ain't gonna worry about the rapists because we're gonna get them off the streets. We're gonna arrest them. Well,
You got to get them off the street.
what about Uncle Boo Boo that's in the house? I'm just
Right.
saying because a molester is a rapist too.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
people be molested, nobody know anything about it because the child is afraid because they've been threatened or whatever. So how are you gonna arrest them? You can't arrest and lock up everybody. This man is crazy. Like I
Beyond.
don't know who he think he is.
How do you even detect who's a rapist? You don't
Yeah,
even know.
That's my point. How can you know? You just gonna walk up and, hey, did you rape so and so?
yeah, you look like a rapist. But you can't get them until after they done rape somebody. You don't
Right,
just
my
like you
point.
say, you just don't walk up to somebody and say, you look like a rapist. I'm a arrest you. Let's arrest him.
I think he hangs with the crowd with 50 Cent.
Oh my God.
Look, I think they have some undercover secret society thing going on
Yeah.
where they just purposely plan to do something or say something just stupid.
He following his leader. He sound like his leader. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
And you know what? We always have some political things going on, but this is more like this become really insane. Like ever since Trump left office or while he was in office, like they I don't want to call any Republican part. Oops, sorry. Any type of party or whatever. But they have really, been acting up. The political party, some of them been really acting crazy and just coming out and just saying
Mhm.
anything. And
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, this is just my belief. I believe that they plan to just do certain things, say crazy things because it doesn't make sense what's been going on lately.
Yeah, you're right. I don't understand. First of all, why are we even talking about abortion law? Like, all the stuff that's going on, and this is what you have time for? And
Yes.
when I was listening to another, I believe, talk show or news report or whatever, and they were talking about they were dealing with some other type, some other type of sexual issue where the Republicans. Oh, but of course, it was targeted towards the Republicans. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that one
Yeah.
particular party was saying how they were going to. It was saying how Serious K how they were going to put a law. They wanted to have this law where you didn't have to
Uh-huh.
ask. You don't have to ask to remove a condom, or if you don't ask to remove a condom, it was going to be illegal. And the process of
What?
I was like,
Oh my God.
what are we talking about? Like, what does that have to do with the can of soup? What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
That's actually been discussed. Where if you do not have that conversation,
Wow.
if you do not have that conversation about, hey, is it okay? First of all,
You
come on,
know,
hey, is it okay if I remove?
listen, these guys are going to have to start coming with disclaimers and contracts before they go to bed with women because you don't know what's legal and what's not legal, what's right and what's wrong. You don't know because he get up, you have sex like you say, and she turn around and she say, "Well, hey, you took the condom off, or you." I mean,
But Serious K, this is my whole point in that situation. Why are the political parties talking about
I know,
sex?
I know.
Like,
I
are you
know.
serious? Do you understand
I
what
know.
the mindset
I
of
know.
this nation? Forget the
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
Just the nation
yeah,
is in, just the
yeah.
condition that this nation is
You
in.
think they trying to come up with a lot of this stuff to cover themselves or to cover themselves?
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be.
Because
You
I'm
know?
like, that doesn't even make that's what like that's a waste of time,
Yeah,
paper, money.
yeah. There's a lot going on. It's
Yeah,
like they make up stuff as they go.
yeah.
Right.
They just
It's too much that and you're getting all into the privacy of a home. Like that has nothing to do with anything. They
Yeah,
have
I need y'all to get to make. Oh, I forgot we can't.
no.
I need y'all to get a handle of COVID. I'll just say that. Get a handle of this COVID.
Right there,
I need
Right.
y'all to do.
right there.
Right.
Get a hold of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Handle on COVID so that people can stop dying from COVID. People can stop, the hospitals can
Mhm.
stop getting filled up. The nurses can get a break. They
Yeah.
don't have to put tents outside to stretch the hospital beds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I said. All the stuff that's going on, you
Yeah.
got time to think about sex, the
Yeah.
twisted and evil hearts and mind of these political parties, and one in
They're trying to
particular.
cover themselves. It's something. It's always something going on the back end. When they start talking crazy like that, you wait a couple months and then you'll hear something. You'll hear a
Right.
story.
Right. Exactly. You know what? You're right.
Yeah,
And
you'll hear a story.
it just continues to solidify why we're where we're at as a nation. Because look who we have in leadership, and in the
No, I
political
wouldn't be
party.
surprised if governor got somebody pregnant.
Girl.
Talking about wheelchair Abbott.
One of his colleagues,
Wait, hold
close
on.
colleagues.
Wheelchair Abbott.
Yeah, I'm sure they can have sex too.
Wait, wheelchair Abbott had. Wait, hold on, because this is some. Wait.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just
He
saying.
could. He could. He
What's
could.
with these serious K?
He could.
Look,
He could what? Get someone pregnant?
you
Yeah, he
never know.
could.
I'm like, Nikki, ew. Is he even married?
People don't care.
Is he married?
That's a good question.
We don't.
I don't
I've
know.
never seen a wife.
That's how much we do not agree nor like our governor. We know nothing about him. We just know that he will not be returning. Come, when is it? November of 2022? I don't care.
You got a whole nother year.
He
Listen,
said he can run and he'll get that office.
Nikki said yes, he's married.
he's married.
He's married to what? Nikki?
Lord,
It's somebody for everybody. So somebody.
now that I agree. It
They say
is
there's
always
somebody
somebody
for
for everybody.
Is she in a wheelchair too? I'm just saying.
You know what? You wrong.
Okay, so y'all, let's move to the, because we're about healing the heart, renewing the mind, all through the power of transparency. So we're not going to downgrade 50 cents nor Governor Abbott at all. We are very high-minded. So moving on, let's talk about leaving legacies, y'all, because I tell you, they're going to leave some twisted legacies up in this mug.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, living in your last days. And I mean, it's a lot to think about, especially in today's time, in society and just with everything that's going on. It's a lot to think about your last days. You don't know. We don't know. And God forbid, of course, we wouldn't want anything to happen to us. We feel like we still have a life ahead of us,
Yes.
to live and to enjoy. But you do have to have that moment because loved ones are dying left and right.
Yes.
We have to have a moment where we set our future up for ourselves as well as for our loved ones. We do not all too often. GoFundMe pages are being created every day. And you help me bury my cousin, my dad, my kid, my mom, whomever.
Yeah.
You help me bury, because, and especially in our particular culture, we do not set up a successful future for ourselves once again.
Right.
Yeah.
As well as our loved ones. Of course, when we are deceased, many of us don't care, do whatever, whatever is convenient for y'all, that's what you do, because I'll be gone, so I really don't care. But then there are some that will have special requests. So we're talking about wills, we're talking about insurance, all of this stuff matters. It seems like a small conversation, like it doesn't matter, like, oh, we have plenty of time. You don't know today, because you can get stricken and not be here in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's important that we have this conversation, especially in our community.
Yes.
We need to start having these conversations with our family right away, not tomorrow, not next year, because you don't know, you may not even make it. But it's time to set ourselves up right now. Queen
Yeah.
Ada, what do you want to say about this topic?
So Coach Shalana, you and I remember coming back from New York after, burying my mom. Well, not, she wasn't buried, she was cremated, but I remember having this discussion, and I what came to mind is how you live your life on earth determines how you live, what happens when you passing or when you die.
Mhm.
And my mom, a beautiful woman, loved her very much, but she had, of course, ways about her that what how she lived her life is what happened during the time that she had passed away.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of chaos and confusion, in creating a funeral and so forth. And I remember, and it's for the life of me, this is just crazy because you never know what you're planning. Sometimes you don't want to have a conversation when it comes to life insurance and all that because you don't want to think of, your loved one's going to die. You don't even think of yourself dying. But I
Mhm.
remember last
Mhm.
year, my mother and I was having this conversation, and I don't know why this conversation came up. And I said, Mommy, like you and I got to discuss, like, if something was to happen, you pass or whatever, what will happen with this? Because she had certain things that's still pending, that need to be taken care of. And I said, if you were to die, my name should be on this, or I should be able to handle this for you.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She said she was going to do it. And I should have followed up, but it was like a hard topic. And she kept saying, yeah, 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 we're going to do it, not knowing that she was going to die a few months later.
Yeah.
So when, and yeah, sorry, yo, if I start tearing, forgive me.
No,
But
no, no. Go
um,
ahead.
Yeah.
so when that conversation came up and she just kept saying, okay, yeah, and then all of a sudden we found out that she passed away. My name was not attached to anything.
Mm.
Some people didn't even know that she had a daughter.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
And my grandfather's name was on it. Thank God he's still living, because if he wasn't living, the hell that I have would have had to go through. And thank God my aunt was able to, she was able to support, and she's a power of attorney for my grandfather. But
Mhm.
um just the hell in getting all of that, like, getting information about her, she had a case going, her settlement, getting information about that, getting information about her bank account, getting information about her insurance. And she didn't have
Yeah.
insurance, but in terms of like
Uh-huh.
pension, just all of that.
Yeah.
um I could had to go through so much, and still going through it just to get access to it, because my name was not a part of anything.
Mm.
So I remember I said to you, Coach Landa, I said, and that's when it came to me. The way you live your life is how you will go. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it was like some things were in a mess. And I
Yeah.
hate to say, like, my mom again, beautiful
Yeah.
woman, and that, just to be
Mhm.
honest and transparent, I would never speak anything bad against my mother.
Right.
But my mom did have an addiction, and her life was like kind of chaotic. Like, she was from one place to the next, and that's where, when she died, I had to go through her stuff, and her stuff was in different people places. It was all over the
Mhm.
place. So
Mhm.
it was a very emotional and trying time, and that's when I realized that when it comes to leaving a legacy, when it comes to making sure that, because we don't ever want to think about this, but
Yeah.
yet it's so important to make sure everything is in order. If you were to
Yeah.
pass away, how can people access your account? Who name
Yes.
you have your name attached, like whose name is attached to it? And then when you attach that name, have the conversation with them. Let them know this is how you access this is how you access that. Making sure that you have life insurance. I know Coach Lana, you and I talk about this, and I think you sell
Yeah.
life insurance,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
also making sure that you have the proper, life insurance, not
Yes.
just term, but maybe whole life insurance, right?
Yeah.
You gotta
Mm.
you gotta be educated on the type of life insurance that's best for you and your loved ones.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
I was talking to a cousin the other day, and I just realized, as I said, especially in our community. I mean, I'm sure there's many people community, but especially the Black Brown community is very important, because she said her parents, when her parents was each other beneficiary. So God forbid. I mean, well, it's crazy, because when she found them, her mom had died, and at the time, her father was on his way to passing. He had a heart attack. So when she entered the house,
Mhm.
she found them both laying on the floor. So thank God that she was able to, have her father live for 4 days, after passing away, after her mom died. So, but within that 4 day time frame, he was able to sign off, the insurance, and leave her with the insurance money and so forth, so she can cremate, and bury or whatever. I think she cremated. I forgot how it worked, but she was able to have a funeral for both. So
Yeah.
if that was not the case, if they had both passed and both of them was a beneficiary, they both passed, who would the money have gone to? You know, they would have had to
Yeah.
come out their pocket and and just it's just I'm so passionate about this topic now because
Yeah.
when I had to deal with it, that I
Mm-hmm.
recognize the importance of it. So she said, thank God that she was able to, get her father to sign off because if that wasn't the case, they would have been left having to plan two funerals and
Mm,
spend almost $10,000 or more, for this. And it's like, thank God for family, and friends that
Yeah.
supported in the burial of my mom because it was a lot financially. Um,
yeah.
and then you got to look at the do ways that's you want to have the most beautiful funeral, but if
Right.
but you just got to really pay attention. So again, creating a legacy, you got to find out how why is it important to create a legacy. Not even leaving something for your loved ones, where they don't have to
Mm-hmm.
scramble for everything, trying to find out, okay, how where is this at? Did am I the
Mm-hmm.
beneficiary? How do I access your account? How do I access insurance? So having a
Mhm.
will in place, if you have estates, making sure you have estate planning. All of that is so important.
So
And people
important.
Yeah.
take that, yeah, people take that for, granted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then some people, again, so this is very interesting because, again, our Black and Brown community, we have a thing of being secretive, right?
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you ask a question like, "Mom, Dad, whoever, like, do you have insurance?" Where you start, they, people start getting upset. Why are you asking me that question? That's
Yeah.
that's private. But it's like, but we have to have this
We
conversation.
have to have this
And it's like, what
conversation.
the hell you
Mm-hmm.
care for anyway if you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna pass? What the hell you
Mm-hmm.
care for? What
My
happens?
poor. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
you have to, and any type of feeling that you have towards your family or whatever, you got to put that to the side
Yeah.
and begin to recognize that it is important to make it easy on your loved ones after you pass away. Don't
Yeah.
Yes.
make it difficult and hard when they have to scramble to make to make things happen for the funeral. So again, that's very, very important. And you have
Yeah.
to really recognize, how do you live your life today? Live it as if it's your last, as if it's golden,
Mm-hmm.
as if you don't know if you're going to pass away tomorrow, because you don't ever know. But making sure you have
Yeah.
all of that in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Serious Camel. Let me say this right quick, and then I'll let you give
Mm-hmm.
your take on it. Be sure. I don't think we said this any time tonight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube page, like and share on our Facebook page. This is some great information. Queen A is on it. This is a heartfelt message to all of our community, especially our community, our HMB fam. I'm telling you, it's important that you talk about your last days. And I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
have that
Mm-hmm.
conversation today because you do not know. And I know this from experience, from others' experience, and especially with me being a
Mm-hmm.
licensed agent, insurance agent. This is the conversation that I'm having every day with people. And let me tell you who rejects me the most and feel like they don't have to talk about this conversation. My community. My
Mm-hmm.
our black and our brown people. And we're the main ones that jump on GoFundMe pages and ask strangers and
Mm-hmm.
whomever the churches and stuff to reach out when you have the time now. And oh, it's too expensive. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not at all. You would be,
Mm-mm.
and I'm talking some really nice policies, not expensive at all. If you want to reach out
Mm-hmm.
to me, just email me heartmindvoiceshow@gmail.com.
Yes.
However, on the serious note, it is not hard at all. I'm all over social media. You can reach out to me and have the conversations. I have workshops. We'll be beginning insurance educational workshop on, I believe, every other Monday. And you know what? I will start putting that on social media so our people in particular can attend. The other races won't have no problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
They come up in droves, have no problems with them, but it's us, it's our community that feel like, and like Queen A has experienced the heartbreak, and I don't know where to begin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, I
And
have to
then
have a funeral for my mother, not a friend, not a cousin, but my mom, and I don't know where to begin. Go ahead, Queen A.
and Coach Yolanda, so and it's very taxing emotionally and physically. Like when I tell you, I like even now still dealing. It's like you want to get to the point you just like forget it all, like because some things still have to be handled. And thank
Mm-hmm.
God, I have family members that's assisted.
Yes.
But you get to the point where you just like you don't even know where to begin, or it's so much that you just like, look, just forget about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be that way because you never know what's left, or or what she had in place. So to understand her life, and I'm learning a lot about her life that I didn't even know just by going through her, her belongings and so forth. But I would say this when it comes to and Coach Lana, you know better than me, but if you have a beneficiary, I'm sure you can have a second, right? So if you
Yes.
And you
Yes.
should. It's highly suggested that we
and
Hmm.
recommend that you have
right,
a.
and this is what I'm
Mhm.
recognizing is that if if you have, like, say, for a husband and wife, if they are each other beneficiary, God forbid they both get into an accident and they both die, and then it's like
Exactly.
who you have children or
Yes.
whoever, or you may have a church you want to leave it to, or a charity or whatever. Just
Yes.
make sure that this, like, whatever you have left to go to the damn
Basically.
state, like, you worked hard for
Hmm.
that, so you want to make
Yeah.
sure you are allocating and making sure that you place your funds or place whatever in a place that you want it to go. So if you have a
Mhm.
beneficiary as like or like a spouse or whatever, make sure you have a second beneficiary. God forbid something
Hmm.
was to happen, or you can even have it in percentages. So just definitely make
Hmm.
sure that you allocate where the funds are going, and then have a power of of attorney. So in the sense that you cannot do certain things if you get sick or whatever, God forbid something happen, you have a power of attorney. I remember calling my mom. It was a certain place that I had to call, and I had to go through all this stuff. I'm still going through it in because they didn't even know, like, oh well, she has a daughter. I'm like, and I should automatically be entitled to certain things because I'm
Yeah.
a
Right.
daughter. But
Mhm.
they were like, well, you have to get an estate from New York, and I'm in Georgia. So
Mhm.
imagine, like, I already been in Georgia, I mean New York twice, and I'm like, I can't keep going back and forth.
Right.
So to have to like get certain things and do everything online and make these calls, and it become emotionally taxing when you get to the point you're like, you know what? So you
Yeah.
have to take a step back, but it is so vital and it's so important to
Yes.
look at how you live in your life. And you want to create a legacy where people can come back and say, you know what, this person was this
Yeah.
Yeah.
person was organized, they had things together. Because it's
Yes.
like, if you was to go, you don't have time, or you're not in an emotional space to think about, how am I going to get this together, or even financially, how am I going to get this, and it's like, it's just so much involved that people don't even recognize, because you're gone. You don't know what it
Hmm.
takes to to do all of that and have to gather funds. And I mean, of course, thank God the family, we all had it or whatever. So but still, it was taxing. So you really want to consider that, and
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
that conversation, no matter how hard it is. Have that conversation. If you have a deposit, what is it called in your what is it called when you have a safe in your bank?
Yeah. The safe
Uh-huh.
deposit. The safe
Yeah, so
deposit box.
right. So you
Hmm.
have something like that where you keep everything there, and you let you don't have to tell
That's
you.
right.
Right, like maybe
Hmm.
leave it someplace, like maybe have some type of information hidden. I don't know, someplace, but somewhere where it's accessible, or someone you trust, where you can say, "Hey, if I was to die, it's in the safe deposit box. The key is here," or
Yeah.
or something. So just make it easier and simple for those of your loved ones. And again, creating a legacy is looking at how you live your life here on Earth today.
Yeah.
Are you blessing others? Are you helping others? Are you supporting others? What can others say about you if you were to die? So you want to think about stuff like that, because you don't want people to say, okay, of course everybody gonna say something good when you die, but you got to really think deep, and
Yeah.
what would they say about you behind closed doors if you were to pass away? So you want to think about all those things and create something that's going to be memorable for others when you leave.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kay, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, my grandmother, she was baby. Let me tell you, she would be turning over in her grave if she knew anybody in her family did not have insurance. So
Woo!
this is something that was drilled in us when we were young. So I believe in having an insurance policy and leaving something for your children. And
Mhm.
also, like Queen, they said, you need to tell people where stuff is. Like my
Yeah.
mother, she gave me a copy of her insurance policy. She's
See?
like,
Yeah,
okay, here's a copy of my insurance policy. So if something happens to me, you have it.
Exactly. You
And
know.
you can have, and on some policies, and even on your bank accounts, you can have up to three beneficiaries.
You can.
right.
So,
Yeah,
You
like on
can.
my bank account, I have like three beneficiaries.
Yeah.
On my insurance policy, I split into percentages. And I always
Yeah.
say, I'm worth more dead than I am alive. Now, y'all don't listen to this and try to knock me off. Kids, husband, don't try to knock me. But I'm just
Oh,
saying
God.
because I don't
I
want my kids.
know.
I don't want them setting up a GoFundMe. I don't want them having to beg
Right.
people for money to have me
Right.
buried. You know,
Right.
there was this young lady. She, you know, in the Black community, like you said, we don't look at that. We just live for now. We just live for today and in the moment, and to have things for people to look at and say, ooh, ah, and she or he is this and that, and they all that in a bag of chips. Well, this young lady had everything that you can think of. She had Louis Vuitton. She had the big
See.
luxury car. She went on the lavish trips. I mean, when you saw her, she had it going on. She had the best of everything.
Mm.
When that lady passed away, she didn't have an insurance policy. She didn't
See.
have a
Wow.
savings. Her
Mm.
children were in their 20s. They had to sell all her stuff to bury
To
her. But when
wow.
she lived and you saw her and you met her, you know, you're like, oh, I want to be like her. She got it going on. You have no idea
Yeah.
what people are doing and going through to get what they have. And really,
Yes.
they have nothing. They look like they
Wow.
have something, but they have nothing. And then there's another lady that died a few months ago. Her husband, she was hiding money, and her sister knew about the bank accounts, but her husband didn't. But guess what? They couldn't get to him. Her niece had to hire an attorney to try to get the money out of the bank, to try to get access of these bank accounts. So, you
Yes.
know, they did get the money to bury her. And then later they did get access to one of the accounts to get some of the money. I mean, her husband wasn't on anything, you
Mhm.
know, and so we live like we're gonna live forever, but we're not.
We're
Right.
not.
We're gonna leave this earth one day, and we have to be responsible and not put that burden on our family members to try to figure out how am I going to bury my
Yeah.
loved one, you know.
Yeah.
I
And
just want to
like
say a
like Coach
statement.
Shalonda said, you don't have to. It doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You be
It
surprised the
does.
price of a life
You'd
insurance
be
policy.
surprised. Call
I
me.
just want to read
You better.
Shirley Gray's statement really quick. She said,
Uh,
"Insurance is a must, so it keep the family mess out." That is so true.
that's right, Shirley.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. So
Yeah.
it's important. It's important for our community, especially to start having these conversations. And like I said, I have educational workshops on it because that's a lack of education in our community. We don't get it
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know no better.
Mm-hmm.
You know better, you do better.
Yes.
We know better. So guess what? We do better.
Yeah.
We're doing better at that. But there are so many of us that do not know. They don't understand the importance of it. And so it's our job to help them understand, to make them aware.
Yeah.
Now, after you become aware, it's totally up to you. You can remain a fool or you can do the right thing, not only just for you, but for your family. That's the
Wow.
part that
Yeah.
is a struggle for your children,
Yeah.
you know, for your family. So,
And
and you're right. I think that's such a good example with Serious Case that her mom gave her a
yeah.
comprehensive policy.
And I was
What
gonna
was
say
you supposed
Mm-hmm.
to do?
when Sirius came, when you were saying that about the lady that she had all these extravagant things, but she
Mm,
had nothing. Like she had
Yeah.
no savings, she had no no life insurance, and that's we got to really look at that.
yeah.
But our community, we would
Yeah.
we are not necessarily taught financial literacy.
No, we're not.
Um, and it's important even more so now, especially with everything with COVID and just the way the world is going, that we are taught financial literacy.
Yeah.
And we really take that serious. I remember, my son and I had this conversation, especially after what happened with my mom. I mean, he knows a lot of my information, but I had to really sit down and get to the gist of, certain things in just in case something was to happen. I was back and forth on the plane. I don't know what was going to happen, but it was crazy because when I
Right.
was going back and forth from New York, I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was a storm, y'all. And I was like, Lord, and it happened both times going back and forth to New York. But I had to sit down, had that conversation with him, and let him know because you want to make it easy again.
You do.
So
Yeah.
Very
yeah, we,
good.
we
Wow,
got
this has been a great show. A great show. You
Yes.
want to say something, Queen Anne? I thought you was getting ready to say something.
no.
Oh, okay. So y'all be sure. I think we put some Patreon information in the
Mm-hmm.
chat. So
Mm-hmm.
be sure to subscribe to our Patreon, join our Patreon. We're going to have conversations about this. So guess what? As a member, you will get financial education on, about financial planning, about, your life. And we think expensive. We think, oh, it's too difficult, it's too hard. And it's not. It's
Yeah.
just like everything else you put your mind to, everything else that's important in your life. Being
Yes.
financially free, financially settled, financially
Yes.
stable is just as important. I'd rather any day, if I had to pick, would you like to be financially stable or would you like to just live life every day crazy and not worry about a thing? I want to be financially stable because when I'm gone, those that I leave behind,
Yeah.
that's what legacy is called. Will be
Right.
taken care of. And it's like, I guess the one conversation to have with your family is, do you understand what a legacy is? Do you understand legacy? It doesn't have to be this grand thing of they flew to Africa and back in 2 days, or how people,
Yeah.
he was a great singer, she was this great entertainer or whatever. Not just that.
Mm-hmm.
What can that do for us? She was this great entertainer. But we're talking about the Maya Angelos and the Dr. Martin Luther King left some real legacy, some true
Right.
legacy on how they
Yeah.
wanted, especially us, to be educated in all facets and areas in our lives that matter, that make a difference in our everyday
Yeah, they
living.
left a mark on the world.
Exactly.
They left their
Yeah.
stamp and their
Yeah.
mark. Yes.
Stamp and mark on the world.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do in your individual families. Leave a mark. My family be well taken care of. My kids were well taken care of. Whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
it's already hard enough to lose you. And then, as Queen A said, then have to go through. Now I got to figure everything out. Where do I
Yeah.
begin? It's already
Yeah.
stressful losing a loved one. So
Yeah.
that's hard. That's something for us to stop playing around and to really grow up in that
Right.
area.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's been a great show, HMB fam. We love all the communication, the interaction. Shirley and Nikki and all of our fam that was in the background wasn't saying nothing. We love you every single week. Be sure to tune in next week. We will have more goodies for you. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. As we said, be sure to join our Patreon. It is coming up.
Yes.
We have more and more information about that real soon. We wanted it to start this month. However, there were some technical difficulties. So we do have plans to get it started in the great month of
Yeah.
October. My favorite month. Besides February. We'll talk about that later. So we love everyone and we'll see you next week. Have a great night and a great week. Good night.
Yes. Good night, everybody.